Definitely.
I knew where to bring it.
Yeah.
I came up here from South Carolina to see my brother
Yeah.
that I met on YouTube.
Yeah.
And he knows his stuff.
Thank you, man. Okay, so we have here another coilover conversion about to go down. The gentleman is coming from Georgia. Yes, that's right, Georgia to Cincinnati, Ohio. Actually, he arrived last night, well, technically speaking, 2 o'clock in the morning, this morning. Stayed at a hotel, and he's bringing the car by. He has an SL500. He's bringing it by this morning. So hopefully I can catch him when he's coming up the street. But if not, he will be here, I think, in about 5 minutes. So I might have started this video a little prematurely, but it's all good. So, of course, as I always do, I move things around so that I can make room and have him pull his car in to the garage. This is where it all takes place. Gold Element Autoworks. You can call this, I guess, the refinery. Oh, snap. It came on a truck. I didn't know that. Oh, goodness. I expected it to be driven here. Maybe he told me that and I just forgot. Oh, dang. Okay. Ah, okay. All right. I do remember now. I think he said something about his brother has a truck and he was just going to load it up and drive it down. I totally forgot about that. Okay, well, that's the safest way to travel. You don't have to worry about the suspension failing on the way. He said he was having issues, I think. All right. You see, some customers, they just want their coilover swap installed, the ABCs removed, just as preventative maintenance. Not everyone is having problems with their ABC when they decide to remove all the ABC components and install Silver's Neomax coilover. Some people do it just because they know it's going to fail. It's inevitable. I have to speak to this gentleman again. Maybe he was having problems, so he decided to just trailer it here instead of drive it, which is okay. Safest way to travel. What's up, man? Okay. Okay, see? I'm glad I spoke to him again about it. Yeah, he's not having any issues out of his SL. He actually just bought it. I do remember the story now. So he just bought that joint, and he's just getting rid of the ABC so that he doesn't have to worry about it later on. So, you know, preventative maintenance. I love it. I love it. So it drives, no problem. We're going to go ahead and pull it off of this trailer, drive it up here into the driveway, and we're good to go, baby. Another Silver's Neomax conversion on the way. I love this. This is what I do. Adjustable coilovers, installation, adjustment, getting dialed in and making the customer oh so happy. Never have to worry about failure ever again. Not ABC failure. Bye-bye. Same color as that one in the video, huh?
Yeah, exact same color.
Man, those wheels are definitely nice. Those are painted the color of the car?
It's like they got a light blue tone. Like
I see.
Yeah, I'm going to have them refinished.
Very nice.
Once I get back out here in the appointment, refinish.
And they have a concave in the front as well as the back. I love that. Yeah, they're not straight up and down in the front. They're concave in the front also. These are beautiful.
Yeah, so after I talked with you,
Yeah.
I went out there and had them put it back on the rack, checked it. There's no bend.
There's no bends now? That's what I was wondering. I said, how does he know that the rim is bent? If it's obvious, okay, but...
He just...
These are so unique. Look at that. It's just about the color of the car. A brushed gloss finish. Oh, they're sharp. The light gray interior. I like this. All right. Tell the people who you are.
Jeff Thomas.
Okay.
This is my brother. I met him all over YouTube. He's getting ready to hook up my vehicle. Been following him. He knows stuff. And God bless you, man. I'm so glad I met you.
Thank you, man.
That's the nicest vehicles in the United States. In the United States.
He loves that S-Class right there.
That one right there, I'm gonna buy that one.
Yeah. Oh man. So this is a blessing meeting you and getting a chance to get your vehicle the way you want it to be, and you're gonna be on YouTube. So just let you know
man.
that.
That'll work.
Man, thank you.
Oh,
thank you.
Man.
Yeah.
I'll be listening up for you.
Okay.
God bless you.
I'll be in touch, man. I'll let you know. Okay. Okay, so the process that I go through when I do my coilover swaps, the very first thing I do is I remove the ABC pump and I install a standard power steering pump. I reuse the power steering reservoir, the original one that worked with the ABC pump. I reuse that. I use the same rubber line and I connect it to the new power steering pump. Now in this case, this owner already had a aftermarket clamp, the type with the screw that secures it. Typically it's a spring-loaded tension type clip, but this one works just as well. So I use the same hose, reconnect it. Save as much of the fluid in there as you can, and then I add or top it off. Make sure that before you attach the belt that you spin the pulley. All right, cycle it, I don't know, clockwise, counterclockwise, whatever. Make sure that there's fluid in that pump and so that you don't have a dry start. And also make sure you start the car with this cap off so that the air can escape, because it is a closed system. So let this stay off so that you can let the air escape. As you turn the steering wheel, left, right, full turn, let that air escape. Top it off and make sure that your fluid levels are good, or you will have a whiny pump because there'll be air trapped in the system. Then I remove this valve block. There's one right there. I start removing all the lines that run across the front. I remove this component right here. I'm gonna call it a pulsation dampener. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I remove that, which is this right here. I remove that. I remove this. I remove the lines. They're over there. I remove this valve block from the rear, and then I reassemble everything. Then I come up here and I start to do the strut disassembly. Remove these three right here. Those are 13 millimeter. You can unplug that, you can clip it, save the plug, whatever. You're no longer gonna need that plug. Also make sure you remove the ABC fuse right here located on the driver's side engine compartment. That gets rid of the red light. You only get the white light at startup. Then I go ahead and take these wheels back off and I do the front first and I do the rear. Watch my previous videos to see how I pre-adjust my coilovers, the Silver's Neomax coilovers, before installation, and it makes it so much easier. The front is easy to do. The rear is more difficult because you have less space. You disassemble the rear control arms from the inner, not the outer. Do not touch that rotor, the hub assembly. Do it from the inside, all right? You have to lift up the exhaust pipe to remove the bolt on the inner control arm that secures it, that holds it in place, because that gets in the way. So there's a way of just manipulating or moving the exhaust pipe so that the bolt can fully extend out and be removed. And then the reassembly is the same process. Just a couple tips there. I don't cut the carpet in the back. I simply pull the carpet back to get access to the top of the struts. Just a few tips there, man. I remove all the lines. You lose about 300 pounds when you get rid of these heavy ABC struts. Maybe even more than that, I don't know. When you remove all the ABC components, you lose a lot of weight. So that's always a good thing. Lighter the car, the better. I do not use sway bars. I do not need sway bars. These cars handle fantastic without sway bars. So let me get back to work. I'm now at the point where I just need to do the coilovers. Everything else has been removed. So let me get to work. Guys, so here we go again with the Silver's Neomax coilovers on the SL. That's the R230. Fully extend this coming out of the box. It's not ready to install when you put it out of the box. All right, put it out of the box, loosen up the locking collar, extend this, extend it all the way down. This hole right here is always covered on one of these front struts. Uncover that hole. Okay, there's a hole on here somewhere. All right, on one of them, it's always covered up by this sticker most of the time. Extend this threaded body until the threads disappear. If you zoom in there, if I zoom in, you can see the thread right there. That's the bottom of this piece right here, this part of the strut. So unthread it or extend it until the threads disappear in the hole. When they stop, when they're right there at the top of the hole, then from this bottom half, you measure 1 inch between here, 1 inch up here. I use my measuring tape. That's 1 inch. Put a piece of tape right there and thread this or shorten the length up into that 1 inch or where your tape is located. All right. That is the proper setting. 1 inch. It used to be 2 inches. Now it's 1 inch. They've made the adjustments on the coilovers. They are now perfect at 1 inch. Do that in the front and in the rear. That is the perfect height for your coilovers. Okay, that gives you that OEM factory height, the lowest setting with ABC. It's perfect. So 1 inch adjustment on your coilovers. Take them out the box, fully extend them to where the threads disappear in the hole. Stop right there where it's at the top of the hole. Measure 1 inch between this and here, 1 inch, put a piece of tape, and then shorten it until you run into this. Of course, remove the tape. Bring down the locking collar and tighten it. That's your perfect starting point. Perfect. I don't even have to adjust it after that unless for some reason your car is unevenly designed or for whatever reason due to wear and tear to your upper or lower control arms, you have unevenness from left to right. But you can do this, and that is usually your perfect starting point. You usually don't have to adjust it after that. That's usually it. That's perfect. All right, there you go. All right, you see how I adjusted it up to the tape? That's 1 inch. Now remove the tape and bring the locking collar down. Ta-da, that's your perfect height. Now regarding your preload on the spring, it usually is pretty good, but you see this is not locked in, right? You see I just turned that one, okay? So it's not locked. Make sure that there's tension on here. You can loosen it and then make sure that when you tighten it up, do it by hand, make sure it's tension on the spring, and then more full turn to make sure it's tight, and then you do the locking collar. You don't crank this down, but you also don't have it too loose. And remember, once this thing is installed, if you have to make adjustments, always loosen that preload and then make your adjustments regarding your length. Because once this is in place, it's designed to spin a little bit with the bearing, but when you make the adjustments, when you increase the length of this strut, typically that will increase the tension on this preload. It increases the preload. When you shorten this, it loosens your preload. Even though this is designed to spin with the bearing, typically there's tension on it and it will not spin easily. It's easier for the whole body to turn and for it to create more or less preload. So make sure you always loosen the preload on the spring and then make your height adjustments and then tighten that. Make sure that's always at a perfect setting. You're always aware of how much preload you have. And I make sure of that by loosening it and then resetting it every time I make an adjustment. You don't have to do this much, of course. Once you get your height corrected, you shouldn't have to be going back in there and doing this. But in the beginning, when you're adjusting your height, always make sure you loosen your preload, adjust the height, and then tighten your preload. You always have to know what your preload is because it can cause premature wear if it's too tight. If it's too loose, it can also cause damage to the bushings and the bearings. So just a little tip. Okay, day 2. So I had the oil drain last night. So I'm about to do an oil change for this client of mine. Let's see. So I have to put the 13 millimeter bolt back up underneath. Now there's 2 ways to change the oil on these SLs. You can either do it from the bottom, the old school method, which is just draining the pan, or you can siphon it or suck it out of the top, which is what Mercedes recommends, is through the dipstick tubing. You would put a tube in there attached to a vacuum and suck it out that way. 7.9 liters is the oil amount recommended. I think it's quarts or liters. I think 7.9 liters. I'm gonna just say liters. If I'm wrong, sorry about that. Liters or quarts, very similar, very close in measurement, but there is a slight difference. So know how much is coming out, know how much to put back in. You don't have a dipstick naturally on this car. You have to have one that you use, which I do. Or you can measure it through the, not speedometer, what's it called? The instrument cluster. There is a menu option where you can measure your your oil level. I don't know how accurate that is. I don't know if it's going to tell you if it's a quart off or whatever. I know when it's too low, it will tell you that. And I definitely know if it's too much in there, it'll tell you that too. I've experienced that before. Let's see. So I'm doing that. And also he wants the spark plugs changed out. Regarding that, he did purchase his own spark plugs. Not those. Those are for the old school 500 SEC that I have, the Euro spec. Also, by the way, those are hard to find. Really hard to find. There's something about this number. Hold on. Those. You got to order these from like out of the country. But for the SL500, we bought Bosch, which is OEM recommended. I think Mercedes has some too, but Bosch is what I personally recommend for Mercedes. So 16 of these bad boys. We bought them from AutoZone, I see. Yep. All right, so there you go. All right, so I will continue on with the oil change, and I also have to do the rear. The front is already installed, the front struts. The rear I have to do still. So that's where I'm at right now this morning. I have to do the rear struts, remove those, and install the Silver's Neomax. I have to do this oil change, finish that, and do spark plugs. And then I'll have to make the adjustments, drive it around, dial it in, and get it ready for the customer to pick it up and head on back home to Georgia. All right, so let's get to work.
Come on, let's go get our party on. Hey, forget the party. If I'm invisible, I'm going to the ladies' room.
Now I'm going to just make this known that changing out these spark plugs suck on the SL500. Now this motor is known for being very reliable. Mercedes used this motor for many, many, many years. This V8 is very, very reliable. Probably one of the most reliable motors Mercedes ever built. Now the SL500, the compartment is pretty tight. It's a nice size motor for a very low profile, tight ride. The SL is very compact. So the engine compartment is pretty compact. So it's not as easy as some other motors or cars that I've done spark plug swaps on. Removal, the process itself might be a little more difficult on this SL than others, such as maybe the S-Class or even the E-Class, a little bit bigger when it comes to spacing. You know what? I don't know about the E-Class. I know the S-Class, I know the CL, I know that the larger vehicles, the MLs, trucks, where the motor sits up a little bit higher, there's easier access. let me get around to what I'm trying to say here. The rear is more difficult, I guess, just because of the tight spacing, and there's not as much clearance in the rear. You will need a combination of tools. In my case, I'm using a spark plug socket, a 5/8, as well as an extension, and I use, of course, this ratchet or this tool right here. Now, you need this in order to remove the coil packs. We're not doing the coil pack swap. We're just changing out the spark plugs. So this is the size. Let me find it. Is it even on there? I don't know. Whatever the star bit is, that's what you need, all right, for the coil packs, for that screw that runs in right there. Those. I use this size socket or ratchet to remove it, and to reinstall it, I use this one, a smaller one, with an adapter for that 5/8 spark plug socket. So this is what I use. First thing I do, I already did the other side. That side's already done. I'm now on the passenger side. So I remove all these. I still keep them connected here so that I don't mix them up. I don't want to, if there's an issue with the misfire, I want that to be as it was. The coil pack firing order is cool. That's going to always be the same. But I don't want to start swapping out coil packs and then mixing up and then introducing maybe a new misfire because I swapped them out. Now this car did not have a misfire. The front one up here actually was a little loose. The coil pack where it attaches to, using these right here where it attaches to the plug, it was a little loose. So he might have randomly felt a little misfire, but there was no check engine light on. So I don't like mixing coil packs unless there is a known issue, and then you can help identify or locate the issue by swapping out coil packs. But that's not the case here. So I'm keeping coil packs in the same order that they were. So you remove all of those, and then, like I said, it's a little bit more difficult to remove the spark plugs, but they can be removed with time and patience. And I just do, let me see. Now I just remove all of them and then install new ones, okay? And once that's done, I put it all back together and we're good. But the reason why it's difficult is just the clearance. It's just hard to get back there. You gotta use a combination of tools. They are in there pretty tight. They look like they're maybe haven't been changed in a long time. They're not the original ones, but they have been in there for a long time. These are also Bosch. Pretty cool looking. Pretty cool. But time to swap them out. And all of them so far look good. None of them have the typical oil residue with age. You know, these motors do eventually, the valve cover gaskets begin to seep out oil and then get into the spark plug area. But I don't see that being an issue. Okay, I'm lying. The one in the rear did have a little bit of oil. Matter of fact, I can show you. This one had a little bit of oil residue at the top of the threads right there. So I'll take that statement back. And it usually does start to smoke back here when it does start to smoke. I'm on almost every one that my personal vehicles begin to smoke back there when they do start to seep out. It's always the passenger side rear. And that was the first spark plug that I pulled out, passenger side rear. So that might be something you want to consider. Valve cover gasket. It's just over time. It's just what it is. It usually leaks out across the bottom, right there where the spark plugs are, at the underside. You can't really see it right here, but it's down there. The gasket down there. This gasket right here that runs to the back. That's what I'm referring to. All right, back to work. A little frustrating, but let me get on back to work, man, so I can get this done. All right, guys. Okay, so here goes the completed project. The SL500 now has the Silver's Neomax coilovers installed. I'm making some slight adjustments to the dampening settings and making sure that the height is even all the way around. What do you guys think? Pretty nice, huh? Yeah, man. Pretty nice. So I'm going to go ahead and clean her up and get her ready to get picked up. All right, so let's see. Now it feels good with these spark plugs being swapped out, nice and responsive. I don't know if it was like that before, but it is now. Definitely responsive. Feels good. Oh yeah. I have some hard bumps on this street of mine that I live on, so those usually are the first bumps that people feel when they're trying to figure out if they like the coilovers or not. I hate those bumps. But it puts the suspension under a little bit of stress so you can see real time how these coilovers respond to imperfections in the road. Now I always take it up here. Let's see how it feels. Get a little wind up underneath its wings. Yeah, man, that's some power right there, boy. Nobody can tell me that the SL500 is slow. Heck no. This SL500 is very nice. Very nice and nimble, you know? Nice speed, nice power, nice responsiveness. I'm going to drive it a little bit and then jump out and take a look at the overall height. Because a part of me felt that the passenger side rear was a little low. So let's see. Nice power though, nice power. I think if I remember correctly, this car has 150,000 miles on it. But you can't tell by the way it handles. It drives very nice. All right, let me make this turn. Yeah, there's some noise up in the front on the passenger side that was pre-existing. We were hoping that it was the coilovers, but it's not. There's something else up there. It's in the front. Yeah, front passenger side. All right, let me get out and take a look at the overall height. Driver's side is perfect. Alright. It's close. I might want to raise the rear just slightly. It's like the front and the back is perfectly even. On this side, it's perfectly even too. I don't know, it might be fine the way it is. Now this is 1 inch all the way around, fully extending it to the threads, leave the hole, and then decreasing the length by 1 inch, and this is what you get. Pretty good. I might raise this back up ever so slightly, but that's it. That's it. Yeah, nice power. Now is this thing, you know, a crazy, you know, sports car that can keep up with the newest and latest and greatest? No. Keep in mind that this is early 2000s, 02s, 03s, 04s, 05s. 300 horsepower was plenty back then. What was his competition? There wasn't much. Nowadays, they're making all their cars with a lot of horsepower. You can buy a Kia with a lot of horsepower nowadays. I'll tell you what, you won't get the attention, nor will you have the conversation, nor will you get the level of respect driving a Kia as you would driving a Mercedes, especially a nice, classy SL500 convertible. It's not all about the horsepower. It's about the class. And more importantly, about the person that gets out the car. But of course, driving a Mercedes does give you an advantage. Yeah, you can hear that. You might be able to hear that through this recording, the noise in the front. It sounds like its inner control arm. Like the bushing might be worn out or something. I don't know. But there's some wear and tear somewhere. Something needs to be addressed in the front suspension drive, passenger side. All right, let's see how it settles again. make that adjustment or not. So I adjusted the height in the rear. Now it's even on this side, front and back. But this is the side I get out of course, as the driver. So it likes to kind of bump up a little bit when I get out, but there you go. Even on this side now. It already was, but the other side in the rear is the one that I need to raise a little bit, so now it looks good. All right, he's back to pick his car up. Hey, hey, hey. Hey. All right. All right, so I adjusted the rear again a second time. Felt like the rear was still not even, not low. A little too low, a little too low. Not even, a little too low. I think I got it right this time. Let me see. It's hot here in Cincinnati. It's like 95 degrees or something like that. And I'm tired. Finishing up on this car, working on it all day. I'm tired. I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired. Okay, let's take a look at it. What's that? Are they different tires?
Yeah, that tire has some blind.
And that's a newer tire too, right?
New, yeah, this tire.
So that
This
cost
tire
me.
is worn, so I made them work into that at the same time.
Might be a tire situation. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, man. All right, so tell me how it rides. This is for the camera.
Hey, man. I took it out, drove it hard. I don't play with vehicles. Took it into curves, running about 60 in curves where it should be 35. No loss of control, no bouncing, or just solid, smooth ride. Actually, I can't tell the difference in the ride as far as the ABC. I can't tell the difference. So I'm really happy.
Good,
I'm
man.
thrilled.
Definitely.
I knew where to bring it.
Yeah.
I came up here from South Carolina to see my brother
Yeah.
that I met on YouTube,
Yeah.
and he knows his stuff.
Thank you,
If you
man.
want some ABC, if you want those ABCs off, and go with some coilovers, these are the best ones to go with. They're adjustable, they feel good, they maintain control. I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm happy.
Good,
I couldn't
man.
be happy.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Perfect. Perfect.
Now you out of South Carolina or Georgia? 'Cause I don't know why I keep saying Georgia.
I'm initially from Georgia.
Oh, initially
I
from
was born in
Georgia.
Georgia,
Ah.
I live in South Carolina.
So you came from South Carolina. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just had Georgia in my head for some reason.
Yeah, 7-hour drive.
Okay.
Put it on the truck there.
Yeah. That was a smart move. Yeah, that was a good
Back
move.
down the road, and so I can go out. I got new tires for it, ready to play with it a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm happy, man. Thank you so much.
Very,
I
man.
can't thank you enough.
Man,
Thank you.
thank you
Yeah.
for trusting me and coming all the way out
Oh,
here.
yeah, man.
And just pass the word along, man. You got any buddies, any
Definitely.
friends? Let
Definitely.
them know. Don't be afraid to buy SL because of the suspension, because you can just do this and then
This
you're
is-
done.
I knew I was going to do it when I purchased it.
Yeah.
I saw you on YouTube prior to purchasing this vehicle.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And what I was concerned about was the suspension. And when I saw you and you were testing out your silver SL, and you were talking about the brand. Was
Yeah.
it
Silver's Neomax.
Silver's Neomax.
Yeah.
And and so when I saw that, I was wow, they're adjustable, because I was going to go with the
Strut Masters.
strut now.
Ah.
They're not adjustable.
Yeah, he would have been mad.
These are adjustable. They change your height. Yeah, I love it.
That dampening setting is so important because with Strutmaster, I remember on my yellow one, that thing used to float, feel like a boat when you hit a bump, and it's nothing you could do about it.
Right.
And then the front was high, and the rear was high, and the front was low. I had to put it was just a mess. Non-adjustable, you don't want that. You don't have to have that with these cars. You want adjustability, being able to make it the way that you want it to ride.
Definitely.
And so that's what you get with those Silvers Neomax, man. You can,
Definitely,
and then later on, if you want it more stiff, you want it softer, whatever, you could do that. Height, all that stuff you could change. Preload should always stay the same, but definitely dampening and the height adjustment are critical with these cars.
Right.
Shoot, I think any Mercedes you want those adjustments.
Yes,
So
definitely.
yeah, so no need of sway bars. I mean, the dampening,
No,
I think compensates.
No, it's not.
well.
The curves I went in, the way I was driving, I drove it like it's a sports car. There was no floating or
Yeah,
loss of control or feeling like you're going to lose control.
Yeah.
Very good stability.
yeah,
I'm very impressed.
good,
Very,
man.
very impressed.
Good.
Excellent.
Well, another beautiful SL converted properly to adjustable coilover. Can't complain about that. Now you don't have to worry about failure ever again. Yeah. Any final words you want to say to the people?
Headed back to South Carolina. Another happy customer. Very happy. Got my coilovers. And Mr. Brandon knows his thing. He knows his stuff. If you want it done, come see this brother right here. He'll take care of you. Good man, fair price. Can't ask for any better. Ordered my parts through you and everything. Didn't have to look for them. Send me the link to them, and everything was smooth, man.
Good.
Good looking out. Thank you so much.
Good.
I'm really happy.
Yes.
It sits perfectly.
Yes.
Lies perfectly.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I'll get back to South Carolina.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, man, I
God bless
appreciate
you.
your
Thank
business,
you.
man.
Appreciate
Good to
you, man.
find a new friend, and we have a lot of similarities, man. A lot of things in common. And
Yeah, well, I don't have as many cars as you do. This guy, if you come to his house, get work done on your car, you're actually coming to a car show. Go ahead and plan it, man. Show 'em
oh
a little bit of
man.
this stuff. This is nice.
Thank you,
I tried to
man.
buy the S550 from him, but that's the only thing they didn't treat me right on. They wouldn't sell me the S550.
What's the S550? But the wifey just laughed. She didn't say no. She just laughed.
She laughed at me. I hadn't even met me yet, but she laughed at me. But it's all right because I can come back and see it.
Oh, yeah.
Also, Mr. Brendan, you may not want me to say this, but he took care of my spark plugs for me.
Oh, yeah.
Did my oil change.
Yeah.
Didn't have to go anywhere else to get that done. I don't know if it needed it or not. Just purchased this car, so I wanted it done.
Yeah.
Mr. Brendan took care of me. He gave me a fair price.
Yeah.
A better price than I can get at any shop.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful.
Yes,
But
indeed.
he's not the cheapest. And that's for a reason, because he does it right.
Yeah,
That's
man.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still fair.
Yeah, appreciate that, man.
Thank you, man.
Sometimes you got to pay for experience, you know. Confidence comes along with that experience, you know.
This is a toy,
Yeah.
but it's an expensive toy until you get it right. So
Mm-hmm.
now I don't have to worry anymore. I don't have to worry about the ABC struts. I didn't really care that much for the ride anyway. When I drove this, I took it in curves, and some of the curves I know I'm illegal right now, but I was double the speed limit in some of the curves. 35, I was 60, and it handled perfectly.
Yeah.
Don't need any sway bars once you come see this man.
Yeah, there you go. I call that research and development when you
Yeah.
going above the speed limit. You're just putting it to the test.
I
That's
just
it.
tested it. I'm a retired police officer.
Yeah.
That's not the way I drive.
Yeah.
But I wanted to test it
Yeah.
while I was still in distance.
Yeah.
But I have no complaints, and I
Good.
feel good about it.
Good.
I know I can trust it, so I'm happy.
Man,
I couldn't be
appreciate
happy.
you, man.
Couldn't be happy.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
man.
Thank you.
Thank you for the video content. Thank you for allowing me to do the work. And I'm glad that you're happy. I'm glad you're happy.
Sorry about my rag on my head.
No, man, it's hot out here. But it's like 95 degrees,
Me
man.
and Brandon, we got something in common.
Yeah. We
So
both
our
are.
heads get burned up.
Yeah, man, you got covered up. I done got a tan out here today.
This is awesome, man.
Good.
I mean, I'm happy.
Good,
It's perfect.
good.
Absolutely love it.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
Going
indeed.
down the road, man.
Thank you, man.
God bless you.
You take care. You let me know when you get home safe, man.
All right, I will.
Stay in touch, bro.
I will.
Okay. Yes, sir. I'll be in touch with you. I'll let you know when that video hits us on YouTube. All right, bro. All right.